Was studying his brain by taking it out and cutting it up in a million pieces similar to taking a telephone system and pulling out one part of the computer and disconnecting all the wires from the phone system and pulling it out and kind of looking at it alone, without the connections?
Well, you're reflecting the neuroscientific biases that we all operate under in the early part of the 21st century. And if at the end of the day, if you say, Fred, is that really what this is about, the surface of the brain? Or if you had to bet on something as an explanation for his intellect, I'd say it's the wiring, the internal wiring, not the cell count. Harvey's work, the people who worked with him, counted neurons and they counted supporting cells. No one ever looked at what we now call the connectome.
You did. You looked at the corpus callosum, though, right?
Well, yes. We backed into it in a gross way. I mean, I didn't do it, but it was... I think Dean Falk was Dr. Men, Wei Men. And he was able to take those photographs of the brain that showed the corpus callosum is the bundle of fibers that connect the hemispheres. It's the largest commissure in the human brain. And Men was able to take a computer system and take these old photographs and standardize a way of a volumetric or measurement of the size of the corpus callosum and compare it to normal brains. And he found, oh my goodness, Albert Einstein's corpus callosum is larger than normal for his cohort of 70-some-year-old men, but it's also larger than that of people who are younger. So that does allude, in a way, to the internal wiring, that the corpus callosum, if Einstein's corpus callosum was greater, you do have a hint saying that maybe the axons, the dendrites, those fibers that connect up the neurons, that there was something exceptional about those. It's never been quantitated. Yeah. And
theoretically, though, it's intriguing that might be where the money is.
Well, I mean, if you're saying, why was this guy so blindingly, bright, such a creative genius, and possibly structure underlies function, that the structure of your brain has something to do with your intellect, which is, that may be an unanswerable question in the year 2019, but certainly you would want to look at the axons and the dendrites, Men looked at it grossly, but nobody, with all those slides that were available, no one ever really looked at the axons and dendrites. Some of the stains do show them, but no one quantitated and say, oh, you know what, that layer 5 dendrite of his parietal cortex is longer than that of a human norm. No one's ever done that.
Was it possible to do with this late stage?
You could.
Was cells preserved well enough to do that?
Sure. Yeah, you can do it in the comfort of your own home. There's an Einstein brain app. But in order to fund once the National Museum of Health and NMHM, they needed to digitize those slides, and they didn't have the money. So they floated it with a firm that said, okay, we'll do that, but you got to sell it. So you could go onto iTunes and buy the Einstein brain app and look at those slides. So possibly you could measure those. I don't know exactly how you compare them to norms. They have their own scale, but yeah, that could be done. Again, this is not the royal road to neuroscientific insight in the current time. The connectome is, not the connectome of one lone genius.